Hi, thanks so much for joining me. My name is Bernard Gitau for My Country, My Continent, a channel solely created for the debunking of myths and querying of narratives about us from external sources and narratives that we've told ourselves about ourselves, negative ones. I am excited today. This is all on mental health, right? And that's my gig, really. That's something that I enjoy. I'm already talking to you and I've not introduced you. Today I'm joined by my friend, somebody I respect, and someone who is in the mental health world. Bernard, but we call you
Benji.
Benji.
Benji. So karibuni Diani.
Asante
Keep
sana.
coming back. In fact, nataka uhamie huku.
Nimeshukuru sana. Thank you for having me. It's such an incredible day. The weather is out of this world. You're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
We love it here. We love it here. We love it here each and every day.
Alrighty. Very quickly, because
Yes.
this is a very busy man. What do you do, Benji?
I'm an addictions therapist and interventionist primarily. I also work I serve on the board of the Addictions, Preventions and Rehabilitations Associations of Kenya, which is an umbrella body for all rehab centers in Kenya and the first of its kind in Africa.
Nice.
I'm also a trauma healing facilitator with the Bible Society of Kenya. What else am I? Oh, no, maybe what have I ever done before? That's another conversation for another day.
He's already taking over this thing, and you'll understand why. Again, much respect. Look at all those things that you do. Now, please talk to me, first of all, about addiction. You know, he's my friend, and I keep saying he's my friend, and I respect him because he also allows me to push back. You allow me to challenge a lot of stuff. You know, I have an issue with buzzwords like addiction, but what is addiction?
Addiction is, it's an old terminology. Let's call it old because it is. Language has evolved to call it something else. So we now call it or term it as substance use disorder.
Okay.
So the substance, here is the question: is it alcohol? So it becomes alcohol use disorder. Is it intoxication? Is it withdrawal? So all these are different disorders under the primary disorder. Is it cocaine use disorder? Is it marijuana use disorder? Then we have the others which are coming up, which is computer gaming. There's gaming. There is when you're talking about gambling, you're talking about sex, you're talking about food. Sex is yet to be properly researched and also categorized.
Or acknowledged, maybe?
No,
I
it
don't
is
know.
acknowledged.
Okay.
It is acknowledged,
Okay.
but how do you quantify it and to what particular manner?
Yeah.
And it exhibits itself in very many different ways.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
And
Because
that's what makes it
heavy.
very hard.
Oh, it's big. You've already opened a can of worms there, and I need to just kind of, keep that.
Let's keep it simple.
You know what? That we must talk about,
Yes.
right? Because mental health, vast world,
Yes, it
layman,
is.
professional. It's my gig, as I was telling you. I feel like I've been researching this thing inadvertently, by mistake, and then here I am very many years later trying to figure out, is there a cultural angle, is there a cultural component to how we address mental health issues? And here we were talking about addiction or substance use disorder. Disorder, to me, to make it easy and palatable, is just out of order, but whose order? We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
So addiction or substance use disorder is within the realm of mental health, right?
Yes, it is.
What's mental health? Because I define it differently, so simply, but what is
Mental health is when you're looking at wellness, psychological wellness and psychiatric wellness. Let's just put it that simply. And you cannot talk about mental health without talking about health in its totality.
Okay.
You can be having a stomachache, and because you're having a stomachache, it affects you psychologically, and you'll be irritable. You'll be bored. You'll be having insomnia because you'll not sleep.
Or you
You'll
could
be
even
having pain,
or you could even be stressed.
and that's
which
causing the stomachache.
Very
So you're
interesting.
seeing.
So there's a mind-body connection. Am I on the right
You cannot
track?
separate them.
Perfect. And I always put it simply as mental health. I describe it as how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And because I'm an expressive, I'm an artist, I'm a linguist, I go with feelings first. Let's talk about culture. I need to create a scenario here. It's hypothetical. And please do tell me, as an interventionist, you are, right? Did you introduce yourself
Yes.
as that?
And I also forgot to say, I'm also in addictions recovery, what you'd call substance use disorder recovery, for the
Okay.
last nearly 20 years now.
Now look at you. You just released the gem that was going to be the coup de grace, the thing I was going to tell them, my friends. One of the other reasons why I respect him is because you have been in recovery. Please describe that. In recovery for 19 years, it's going to be 20 years. Recovering from what happened? We'll come back to what we're talking about.
So I had what you'd call now alcohol use disorder, marijuana use disorder, cocaine use disorder, heroin use disorder, sleeping pills. I also use sleeping pills. I also use barbiturates, anything to just basically get high.
Get high.
Yeah.
Wow. I think anybody who's watching this and perhaps is not fully aware of this world would be wondering, why is a man like you so comfortably sharing that about yourself?
We are as sick as our secrets. That's it.
Okay.
So the more I speak about my disease or whatever was keeping me down, the more I am free from it. So the more I speak about it, also somebody else gets free from it. The more I speak about it, I also see different angles of it and still work on my own recovery. That's why we call it active recovery.
Oh my
So
goodness.
each and every day we keep on working on it to remain sober.
This is amazing. And is that a spiritual thing?
It has to be. It's biopsychosocial spiritual. So you have to look at all angles of this person if you're thinking about treatment. If you're thinking about recovery, you have to cover all those angles.
Ooh. Okay, let's slow down. Let's break it down this way. I want to imagine, here is a scenario.
Yes.
A hypothetical, right? There's a lady. There's a cultural angle. There's an African lady. Imagine an African village. And I've said African because I think if you go to a village anywhere in Africa, there are certain similarities.
Yes.
Right? We have the culture, and subcultures. But there's something about us that make, similarities.
Yes.
All right. So there's this woman. Imagine it is myself. I belong to a church. I am in the women's guild. I've got a son. He is called the village drunkard. He's always found in a ditch somewhere, presumed dead, more times than not. Stress levels in my home are very, very high. The structure of church and religion have given me a sense of belonging, structure and home, but the shame is making me begin to question my faith, because I have prayed for this son of mine. He's not getting any better, and the shame is out of this world. In fact, my title is the mother of the drunkard.
So what about your husband and what about your relatives?
Very interesting. I've actually not factored in that, just because this is a scenario I have seen. He's not in the picture. He's not in the picture. That I have experienced. Now, how do you intervene? Imagine that somebody knows me, knows my child, and knows you, knows of the existence of Benji and what he does in the substance abuse disorder world.
So, as I mentioned, it's a biopsychosocial spiritual problem. So you'll have to attack this from the social angle, which is educate the community. And the immediate community around this person is a family. So the family is the mom. And the other immediate relatives, it's to get them to a place whereby you can conduct the intervention. Educate them on what the disease of substance use disorder is. So that you can even talk about interventions, they even need to know it is a disease.
Now, the cultural angle again. Please look at our beliefs, and I am a very proud African. Hakuna kwingine naenda. Now,
They'll believe it is witchcraft,
Yes.
they'll believe it's many other things.
Yes.
But because she's a Christian, you can speak to her from a Christian context.
What if she's then not a Christian? I'm so sorry, I have just switched, you know, I have...
If she's not, there's still the simple biological fact of explaining what happens. Is your son not able to wake up in the morning and function normally? It is because he needs a drink to be normal.
Okay.
It's not like you. You are quite different. So explaining that process step by step by step by step, so that they understand it is not only all these things that they're thinking, they might be true or might not be true. You do not refute their beliefs, but you show them there's this other side that I've not looked at.
Okay, let's go with stigma. I know this is a very busy man, and we are supposed to keep it really short. But you know, when we start talking about matters mental health, we can speak until the cows come home. We'll do the best we can, and thank you again for your time. Stigma. It's either, yes, there's that whole witchcraft thing, and so many other other explanations. But then there's this one. Alikula mali yake vibaya. Basically, this one is alikula mali yake vibaya. I'll translate loosely, or ugonjwa wa kujitakia. This one is just an irresponsible human being who can seem to know their limit, who can seem to know when to stop. They choose, in fact, they elect not to stop. How do you address that? Is that true, or in your world?
You do not refute that, because it is true. They are not able to quit.
No, I'm saying they choose.
And here's the point. You need to explain why they choose that. Because the choice has been taken away from them by the disease itself.
So you're calling substance use disorder a disease?
It is a disease. So it is explaining the disease concept to them. And to explain to them that the disease not only covers the body, it also covers how the person thinks. It covers how the person relates with other people. It covers how the person relates with the law. It covers how the person relates with his religion. Covers how the person relates with his neighbors, covers how the person relates with even education, covers how the person relates with his career. So it's an all-encompassing disorder.
Mwalimu, ngoja kidogo. Please wait. Because you say something and it kind of sparks a thought. And this is where I push back, right? You said it is a spiritual process. To what? To get into recovery, and it is continuous.
Yes.
Here you're talking about choice, that indeed they choose, and they choose not to stop, but there's a why they do that, right?
Yes.
And then you're saying there's a disease factor, as in it's chemical, or is it coming from an experience that they might have had in their lives?
So let's look at it this way. For most addicts or alcoholics, they have used... Let us look at the trees behind us.
Yes.
The roots of these trees are what feed it. So what you're seeing is a manifestation. The manifestation is the addiction itself. It's a substance use disorders. It's a myriad ways it's manifesting itself. But it's the same disease. So the roots themselves are what we cannot see. We do not see what feeds the disease. So we are looking at shame, guilt, the genetic factor, which is whereby the inherited factors, which is mental health issues. There's also substance use issues. There is also, we're also talking about trauma, and we're not talking only about generational trauma, we're also talking about first, second hand, and third hand trauma. We're talking about trauma it's in entirety.
That comes from abuse.
From abuse. Trauma comes from abuse.
Okay.
And we also look at from lack of knowledge. There are lots of people who get into drug use without knowing.
Okay.
So when we look at all that,
that is what now will explain the choosing and choosing not to stop, because there are so many reasons. There are so many behind the scenes.
If the roots have not been sorted out,
yes,
the choice has been taken away. But once you sort out the roots of the issue,
okay, I get your choice.
you're giving back the person the choice and the power to choose.
Okay.
a better way of life.
This is interesting. You know why I normally push back with you, and uh, and this is personal, is because when we talk chemical, when we talk the disease, the factor of it, or the disease explanation of it, there are very many people, of course, who think, what, I have an ailment. Now, when you add in the spiritual angle, I can see how it's one is in this is out of order. I've always believed in saying there's absolutely no way someone can behave the way they are behaving today without a reason.
Yes.
As in, there's a foundation, and if there's a crack in the foundation, let's go and fix it. My thing has been to ask, my dear one, what happened to you? What happened? Now, how long does it take? Do you take your time? How do you structure it to go all the way
In terms
till
of
there?
treatment.
Yes, all the way till there to figure out
Treatment,
what the issue is.
So treatment happens in phases. The first one is screening. Screening is finding out it's a person's history, what is happening now with their bodies, their minds, their families, etc., etc. What is their blood work, what are their thought patterns, etc. Then there is assessment, bringing together all that information from 1904 when they were born till now. What has been the progression of issues? What has been the heaviest of issues? What has been happening to them or with them or around them? And then you come up with a treatment plan after the assessment. And the treatment plan basically is, this is what we're going to do to deal with all these things that we found out.
Interesting. And this includes rehabilitation. Sometimes it can include rehabilitation, or always includes rehabilitation.
Unfortunately for Kenya, we deal with things when they're very bad. Prevention has been happening, yes, but with Kenya has been having a problem with that aspect because we are a happy nation. And because we are very happy, we tend to overlook what else is going wrong around us. So when our people start getting into trouble, we turn a blind eye until when trouble has really hit us. So the interventions that could have been socially been employed to these persons, interventions that would stick are not readily available.
Like?
So, for example, I know NACADA has been running programs for teachers, mainly, to teach them how to deal with students earlier on. Various organizations have been doing a lot of prevention work, going to organizations, going to churches, talking about this thing. But there's also the stigma involved in a person going to a mental health institution, which is inclusive of rehabs, going for even outpatient care.
So there's stigmatization, and there's a cultural angle again.
So it's a cultural angle again.
Okay.
So when things get really bad, that is when everybody rushes for help.
And really bad means 1 foot.
1 foot in the grave, or 1 foot in the mental asylum, or 1 foot in prison. So
we're gleaming over a lot of stuff here, and I have this strange feeling, Benji, I'll keep following you as we break down a lot of stuff that we have mentioned. Yeah, we've touched on quite a bit of stuff, because I know right now there could be someone who's seated there watching, and they know of somebody who is indeed that village drunkard, and you see that hypothetical story. I don't think we've fully tackled the issues there, but at least they kind of brought up some information that is important, and for that I'm grateful. Now, I read somewhere that slightly over 400,000 people are in dire need for rehabilitation.
And we only have 10,000 beds at the moment in the whole of Kenya.
And rehabilitation means putting them within the confines of
a facility for 90 days.
Okay. And there's a lot of stuff that happens there.
Yes.
Can we summarily tell whoever is watching what a rehab generally is? Just very quickly.
So with statistics from NACADA from 2017 show that 2 million people are in trouble with alcohol. We're not talking about needing inpatient help, just in trouble. We're not talking about marijuana, we haven't talked about miraa, we haven't talked about all these things.
Yeah.
So 400,000 of you out of a population of 50 million is a very large number. Hence, what happens in a rehab? Yes, it's a mental health issue. Yes, but it's not a mental health issue the way we traditionally think about. It might have that component, yes, but not that bad.
It's not madness.
It's not. It's
Okay.
not madness. It's not the traditional when I was in
Yeah.
market stripper and everything. It's a worst word to use, but that's what people think, that you're going to a rehab center, they will see people walking around naked. That is not there.
Okay.
So people are there, you'll find the janitors, to makangas, to teachers, to lawyers, to doctors getting treatment. And the type of treatment they're getting is therapy, psychotherapy. There is pharmacotherapy. There are those who need to be on medication for detox or for any other physical issues or mental issues. We're talking about group therapy. We're talking about personal one-on-one therapy. We're talking about family therapy, whereby the family comes in and you fight your things out and you hash them out, and you also plan a future together as a family. A lot of family reconciliation happens there.
Oh, wow.
And lastly, people are taught how to have fun safely without getting high.
Oh, okay.
So you find that there's a lot of art therapy.
That's
So there's
nice.
singing, dancing, acting, even a simple thing like on a holiday, chinjeni mbuzi, slaughter a goat.
Without
getting
substances.
high.
Okay. Oh, so it's not a jail. Rehabs are not jails, and they're almost like spas. Huh? You're cooked for and
No, for most of them they have duties. Even if they're the 5-star rehabs, you'll find that every patient or resident or client, depending on what terminology you want to use,
and terminologies are very important, I think.
will have duties. So you find that for some of them, they will be allowed to cook on certain days. They will clean around themselves. They have to keep themselves clean even. They'll have duties to the main group, to themselves. So it is different from one facility to another, and also to the ideology pursuing the treatment.
Let's go back to the 400K, and there are only 10,000 beds.
Yes.
What do we do? And I'd asked you earlier to because this is incredible. Are there other ways in our country, that we can start thinking of either intervention of assisting people like that who will never have access to physical rehabilitation centers?
So we either can look at the Portugal way. The Portugal way was to you get in front of a board. And why I'm talking about the board is this. Some statistics, some time back, I'm not sure about which year, we met with the Nairobi police bosses, and they told us that 30% of criminal activities that happen within the city precincts are drug-related, alcohol and drug-related. So imagine policemen spend 30 to 35% of their time dealing with alcohol-related issues, drug-related issues, and we're talking about from rape to theft to 35%. So you'll find that a lot of these persons will go through either the
You're
prisons.
talking about violent crime, huh?
From violent crime to very petty crime. They'll go through either the prison system or the hospital system, or which other system? When you think about it, probations, department. So if we can amalgamate all these services together, and that there are boards which sit in certain areas and all addicts or people who have had addiction-related issues go through them, and they're helped to deal with these situations, and also decriminalizing some of the activities. Some of the activities. Some.
In fact, let me jump in there. Oh, I think someone might get really, really mad at me because I didn't let you finish about the Portugal way, the way that country went into addressing
the crime went down 30% immediately.
Yes, please Google that. I hope we'll get back to that.
Then there's another prevention thing. This one went in one of the I don't remember which, but it was a city, Reykjavik. And what they did is parents were contacted by the local council, and for example, because we're in Kwale, you can say the governor of Kwale called together parents of Diani, because we're in Diani, and got them to agree to a pledge that they'll be patrolling their own streets, that they'll take the children for after school activities, that they will get, actually, the government, let's say for that matter, that county government gave parents money to take their children for after school activities.
So this is prevention.
That's prevention. So you're looking at it from both aspects. You've put fewer people in prison.
Yes.
And so they're not learning very bad behaviors. But they're learning to get through, because there's a lawyer, there's a social worker, there's a therapist, there's all these people in that board helping this person to go through their lives in a way that will help them. There's too little time to get into that. And then there's here the prevention side, whereby the whole community is involved. And we are looking at also another aspect of, because Africa is a communal society, can we have communal treatment facilities whereby the community itself funds itself to do things? And the best way we can do that is through the churches, because the churches have the biggest population of people. So imagine if a county can have facilities in just one county. A particular church can have like 200,000 to 300,000 members, and each one of them gave 5 shillings for 3 Sundays or 4 Sundays to put up a facility, and another for the rest of the year to run it for free. You will have people treated, and that will pay even psychologists and counselors to run them.
Benji, it sounds as if, first of all, there are ways to.
It is us not doing them.
Okay. Could it be, and this is where I wish for us to employ compassion, could it be that we just don't know and we need to be educated on
and there's that. And one of the things that the Kenyan government has done is NHIF is now going to cover addictions in totality. Treatment. Addictions treatment. Let me use the word addictions treatment, please. For this context. So
I won't fight you.
Addictions treatment, but
I hope they're hearing.
But it will only cover to a certain percentage and one treatment visit per year, inpatient. So yes, it has a caveat. It also, because again, it's insurance. They will also have to have their things. The good thing with NHIF doing that, that means all the other insurance companies will have to cover treatment.
Yes.
Better yet, after that, that means very many facilities can now access funding from the government through being paid through NHIF to employ doctors, nurses, to professionalize treatment further.
Absolutely. And then I guess people like maybe myself and then very many artists to demystify this whole.
Then it will become something very normal. It's like you have malaria. Oh no. Better yet, you have diabetes and you have to continue managing it.
Yes.
So you're going to your local center to deal with your diabetes. But now imagine you have a local center which deals with substance use disorders.
This is interesting. Hence, sorry about that. Hence, to me, again, fine, it sounded as if I was, looking for a job there. Why not? Please hire us. Absolutely. It sounds as if there are solutions. There are people who know exactly what we need to do.
Yes.
We just need to bridge them. We bridge that gap between the ones with the information and the society.
Yes.
So, our communities, the mother in the Mothers Guild. How do we get our people to very quickly quit stigmatizing mental health in general?
Whether we like it or not, it will be a very emotive issue because it touches each and every one of us. In every gathering that you go and you try to talk to people about mental health issues, everybody knows one. If they're not in their family, everybody knows one. Mental health issues, we are talking about even people who are abusing and using drugs and alcohol. So, therefore, we should be thinking about the next step. People have been reached by the message that this is a disease, but we are not gotten to the point whereby we are talking about alternative solutions to the traditional, which has been get this guy to rehab, get this guy to rehab. Have we looked at prevention? Are people not doing enough? And another thing is we have so many efforts going in different directions but not united. And so I believe things are getting better,
Okay.
way better, and each and every year we leap 5 years forward.
Oh, then that means we need to leap very many more years forward
Yes,
because
we are
we sound,
only
yeah.
20 years behind the United States in terms of treatment, quality,
Mm.
and programs. So
Okay.
that means we're number 2 in Africa. South Africa being
Being
first.
first. Okay. Betty, thank you so very much for this. You know, I think clearly we can see that we need to talk about this for hours and hours. And we need to structure it a little bit more because I've learned a lot, yet I've actually researched quite a bit in this whole field. But it's also mental health. There are other issues to speak about. This is incredible. You're very well informed. I have watched you with people, and indeed, I do believe you remember Ubuntu. We will keep talking,
Yes,
and I will leave his contacts. Is that okay?
that's okay.
Below, and I am sure you can actually get a lot of help and information from Benji. This is our resource, human resource, and this is where we need to go in Africa to just harness the power that we have so as to get solutions for our.
Own problems.
Thank you very much, my friend. Asante sana.
Keep on spreading the message, pick up your guitar and walk.
Thank you, sir. I will.
Okay. Sasa.
Bye bye.